Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. We are back, up yours, woke moralists, and we watched Black Christmas to 'Tis the Season, going a little off theme here.
It's the season.
Starring Lois Lane herself. That's right, Margot Kidder.
Yeah,
in this jammer.
She looked kind of hot in this.
She was very kind of hot in this.
I never really thought she was hot in Superman, but in this I was like,
no, she's all tarted up and drunk sorority chick.
Doing something for me in this. Yeah, starring I made the joke to Sean. I'm pretty sure John Saxon is in every movie from the 70s, or at least
he's playing the same character.
Maybe he's not in every movie from the 70s, but he is in every movie from the 70s I've seen.
I watched this John Saxon film this weekend, or this previous week.
Oh, cool. And also starring Keir Duella from fucking 2001.
Yeah.
Yes. The only other movie I've ever seen him in.
I saw him in real life once.
Yes.
He's the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the weird...
The one that's trying to impose his
weird piano
his
player.
body values on the French chick or British chick or whatever.
Yeah, crazy how we're having the same conversation 40 years later.
Yeah, I didn't expect to have that brought up like on the show, but yeah, great.
Here we are.
So that's what we watched. Everybody have a good Christmas, and we'll see you next week now.
Yep. We're on break.
I'm on break. All right. What did y'all watch this week? Sean?
I only watched the last episode of Chainsaw Man.
Hell yeah.
Great
episode.
Great episode, but very, like, it's too much of, like, a fucking cliffhanger episode for me, dog. Like, usually they end a little bit, like, is that guy looking like Tim Roth intentional with the suit and stuff, or am I just adding that to
it? The guy that's training... Apparently, I don't know if this is just the internet. I know that what's his name, Fujimoto, is like a huge film buff. But like, apparently, people are saying that he's influenced by Mads Mikkelsen, and they have like side by side comparisons of the drawings of like where he referenced him from. So I don't know. But there is a little Tim Roth, and I mean, like Reservoir Dogs is an influence too by just how they 100%. Look. So.
Dude, the scene where they're training him and he's like, we're done for the day, and then he just throws the knife
and stabs Denji in the head.
It's a great episode.
One of my favorite moments, and they animated it so well, was when Denji and Power are like, we're going to use our brains, and they're suddenly both
glasses on.
They're both suddenly wearing glasses, and it's like, we're smart, we're going to do this, and they just get
the fucking, like, the fact that they're both dum-dums, like, is so much fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Because, like, kind of in a lesser comic, she's like the sultry vixen type, because that's, like, kind of the model, right? But she's like a total moron.
Yeah, well, the funniest thing that I think is that Fujimoto said that Power's personality is based off Eric Cartman. That's like the biggest influence on her personality.
That tracks, actually.
It's fucking hilarious. Like, what a weird thing to pull, but it makes a lot of sense.
And of course, because it's a Chainsaw Man episode, it's got this deep theme of like, oh man, just being like, just the fact that like I have a fucking place to live means like, am I still the same person? Like, where he's like, oh, do I still feel pain?
It's so fucking funny because like I don't know. We talked about this a lot.
I didn't explain that very well because I'm in the middle of trying to play 2K and watch this football game and talk to you, but you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. But like we've said this before about something like Parasite, where it's like they managed to cram all these things in one thing. You know what I mean? They cram all these different genres and feelings and tones. And like Chainsaw Man does that where like you have like literally goofy, like Simpsons-esque slapstick. And then like these ruminations on like what it is to live and like thrive. And then like, it's just fucking wild. And this is all in the space of 23 minutes. Like, I don't know. I can't get over the show. I'm going to be fucking heartbroken because we only got 2 more episodes.
Right.
And I mean, I love the comics, but like, I don't know. There's a certain magic to the animation. You know what I mean? Like, I love the comics. Don't get me wrong. But like, they've done such a good job with the animation. I
and
just
what
want to
looks
see
like
it
a
adapt.
pretty limited budget, honestly, on the animation. Maybe the second season will be, because you can tell they've got some kind of wonky, like pre-rendered computer background sometimes, but it's not like super distracting like the Berserk Golden Age or anything.
I'll have to send you. There's this guy that like is an animator, and he breaks down like almost like scene by scene how they did things with like production notes and stuff. And they shockingly use a lot less CGI than I expected. Like
really?
it's kind of like I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I'll send you the video.
It's also like the mark of a great show where even though the fight scenes are like awesome and they're a lot of fun, like they're almost like the least interesting part of the show. Like
it's something that they managed to. I mean, that's the way it is in the comics, because the comics, like the fights are kind of secondary. They're there, but you can kind of tell that like the artist doesn't really care about them that much. And like I feel like they managed to make them like super cool, but they still don't really feel that important, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but that's all I watched.
Great show.
Alec.
I liked a lot of things.
A lot of good, because I didn't watch anything.
Well, good. The show go real fast then.
Go real fast. Excuse me.
It's all Christmas movies. Every single thing I watch is a Christmas movie.
Aren't you out by now?
No.
Oh,
Next
dude,
week will probably be the same thing.
It's like how we have WWE Eastern. We'll literally never run out of like wrestler movies. Like there's so many
it's just
movies.
infinite, and every year they put out 100 more because they're so cheap to make. Like Hallmark makes like $1 billion a year.
Alec, did you see that? I forget if it was an Onion or something, but it was made me think of you. It's like every woman in a small town Christmas movie should ask where that man was on January 6th.
No, but that does make sense. That should be the first question they ask. I watched the Santa Claus 3, finishing up the Santa Claus trilogy. The one with Martin Short plays Jack Frost. It's the weakest of the 3, but it's still not bad.
Oh, it's like the Godfather series.
Yeah, it's probably on the same level too. Santa Claus 2 is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Right.
I watched the Santa Clauses because Disney Plus made a show on the Santa Claus universe that came out this year. That was pretty good. The first episode kind of sucked, but after that, it got a lot better. Most of that ties into the whole Tim Allen Santa Claus lore. Watched Elf. Elf is fun. Everybody knows about Elf.
It's a great movie.
Watched Snow Day, starring Chevy Chase and Chris Elliott.
Oh, it's not about Jonathan Snow Day?
I don't know who that is.
The bastard.
Oh, John.
Oh, a fucking Game of Thrones reference.
No, that was I'm sorry, I meant Edward Snow Day. I'm sorry, I fucked it all up. I'm going to mute myself.
It's about a crazy snow day in a town, but the town snowplow guy is so good that the kids only get 1 day off. So they try to slow him down to get more snow days off.
That's kind of a fun premise. I like that.
It is, and there's also like a teenage love story tied in with it, and blah blah blah. But it was fun. It was fun enough. Chris Elliott is the like deranged snowplow man is fun.
I think that we could all agree that the world could use more Chris Elliott.
Oh yeah, Get a Life should have been a smash hit.
So good. Yeah, I love that show.
Should have been an absolute smash hit, and it just kind of faded off into nothing. Rise of the Guardians, the animated, the animated. Well, I guess technically it's an Easter movie, but Santa Claus is in the whole movie, so. We're gonna call it a Christmas movie.
Close enough. Christmas
animated
Christmas
movie.
adjacent.
It's got Chris Pine plays Jack Frost, Hugh Jackman plays the Easter Bunny, Alec Baldwin plays Santa Claus.
This. Yeah.
Isla Fisher is the Tooth Fairy. It was fun. It was good enough. Like I enjoyed it. I think it was on. Actually, a couple of these movies are on another new channel called Freevee.
Oh yeah, I see ads for that on the Shield.
That has some stuff on it. We just finished watching a movie called A Christmas Karen. It's a ripoff of A Christmas Carol, but with like a stereotypical Karen.
It sounds kind of funny.
It's so fucking good. Like, we were dying. It's so funny because it like leans into how ridiculous like these Karen women are and how absurd they are and how entitled they are and everything. It's really funny. And it's like got nobody in it. It's probably like almost like an asylum movie.
Oh,
But
jeez.
it's really funny because everybody leans into their like ridiculousness and over the topness. And the woman who plays the main character does like tremendous. It's so funny. Like at the end, so the part in like it's a Christmas Carol. Like it's literally a Christmas Carol. Which I'm guessing like the rights to that or the copyright to that must have expired fairly recently because all of a sudden there are a ton
I think that
of
story is
new
public
Christmas.
domain.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like all of
yeah.
a sudden there's tons of new like versions of it, like all over all the streaming services we've been looking at.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like in the past few years, like it opened up to public domain or whatever, where anybody can do it
I think
without
there's
having
like
to pay.
Yeah, I think there's like on certain things, I think there's like literally like time limitations and then like everything. Like I think like the shadow is something that's like public domain.
Well, I think you had to renew the copyright, and if no one renews it, then
Is that
Also,
what
plus it's British, so people just might not have given a fuck because
Yeah.
who
The
cares about their
Shadow's not
copyrights?
public domain. It would have been, but Condé Nast owns it because I tried to use it one time.
Oh, okay. Who the hell's
Yeah.
Condé Nast?
They publish like Elle and Glamour, and they're like that big fucking.
Why the fuck do they have the rights to the shadow? How
Why
weird.
not?
Yeah. More like
Um,
Condé ass.
yeah.
Marvel did that several years ago with their Exiles comic. They used it to renew their copyrights on like
Oh,
10
that's
other
right,
different
yeah.
properties because they were hopping universe to universe. So like New Universal, some of their other stuff that like they were about to lose the rights to, they threw them all in Exiles
And that
and
actually was a fun book.
renewed their contracts. I loved that book. It got
I
really
didn't-
stupid towards the end, but for a long time that book was a fucking
I
blast.
didn't know that's why that book came to be, but that's kind of awesome because I like that book.
But yeah, A Christmas Karen. Check it out. It's on free.
Freevee.
It's on Freevee. The last thing we watched was called Jingle Jangle. I think it's technically Jingle
Wuggle
Jangle,
Wuggle?
a Christmas story or a Christmas tale or something. It's a Netflix original. It's got Forrest Whitaker and Keegan-Michael Key and somebody else. I can't think of who the third main character was. But it's a story about an inventor like around Christmas time who creates like the perfect Christmas toy, and then his understudy steals it, so the inventor goes crazy and runs his wife and daughter away, and
Sounds real uplifting.
the other guy
Story of
becomes
Elon
like
Musk.
super rich. It's really good. Forrest Whitaker's fantastic. It's got these awesome, really cool like claymation puppeteering scenes in it.
I like that.
Where like instead of using special effects, they use that to like show things that have happened or are gonna happen and stuff. Like I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Did Forrest Whitaker do something weird with his voice?
Not really.
That's a shame.
You didn't watch Jingle All the Way this week?
Oh, I did watch that too. I did
Hell
watch that.
yeah.
I forgot to put that on my list. Jingle All the Way, of which there's a sequel that I gotta watch now.
I saw
starring Larry the Cable Guy.
I saw a TikTok where somebody, you know, the scene in fucking American Psycho where he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get a reservation for Dorsia," and the other guy laughs, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Huh," you know what I mean? So they dubbed in Arnold's voice, and he's like, "I'm trying to find a Turbo Man," and then it's the guy going, like, it's like 2 days before Christmas, "I'm trying to find the Turbo Man," and then they just start laughing like that. Is so fucking stupid.
Try getting a Turbo Man now, you fucking asshole.
Oh my god, Turbo Man. That movie rules. Yeah, I'm shocked that we've never cracked this sequel on the show. Like it feel like it's something we would have done by now.
I mean, I'm okay if we don't, to be honest.
it's gonna be bad, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be bad. And that is it. Out of all those like A Christmas Karen and Jingle Jangle are both hard to recommend. I would say check those out. The other ones are all, I mean, they're all good. There's all stuff I've seen before though, but those two are bam. And this is episode 350.
That's crazy. 350.
I mean, it's probably not quite exactly. I'm sure at some point I screwed up the count, but based on my tally, we're at episode 350. So
That's fucking nuts.
Wild.
Way to go, guys. We wasted probably 600 hours recording this show, not to mention all the time. Me and TJ went to watch the Ravens game the other day at the bar.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
And we were talking about the old way we used to record and how like it would take up like a 6-hour block of time, like driving, going, eating, watching the movie, recording, driving home. Like we start at like 6 and get home at like midnight.
The fucking toll on our health. Yeah, there's like.
Yeah, but then I found that picture of us recording today. That was pretty cool.
You look great.
Yeah.
The best was the
Matt
fact
came
that
in clutcher. He's like, you can tell which one TJ is.
The best was the fact that there was a white dog in there. I was like, oh, that's perfect. It's like a buff
White
light
dog?
sheet too. It's all buff us and a buff light sheet. This is a joke that no one will understand.
Buff light sheet
on the podcast, but anyway, anything else?
No, I'm trying to think. I can't think. I don't think so. But that's enough, honestly. That's plenty. There's plenty. 8 movies in a week ain't too bad.
That's a lot of movies.
TJ.
I haven't really watched a whole lot. I watched fucking Inception the other day. I didn't really watch it. I was drawing as it was on. But that's a really good movie, Inception. I really like that movie.
Pretty good.
And that's it. I also watched Chainsaw Man, and I'm finished on Jujutsu Kaisen, which I really recommend. It's a little bit of a slow starter, but very good. I will, real quick on the Jujutsu Kaisen thing. Fuck HBO Max, because I'm in the middle of watching that show on HBO Max, right? So I log in, and I'm like, okay, where is it? They just took it off. They took it off the fucking platform. So I had to get a new subscription to Crunchyroll to finish watching it. So yeah, it's a very good show. It's not as good as Chainsaw Man, but it's still very cool. It's reminds me of like, I don't know. It's like very X-Men-y in a weird way, like the way that they structure everything. And it has like they're training in this school, and I don't know. It's cool. I really like it. Again, I feel like it took a little while to get going, but once they start like fighting all the time, it's pretty badass. So I would recommend it. But yeah, also Crunchyroll, pretty solid service. You get a lot for your money. It's only like $6 a month, and they have like old anime and current shows in Japan, like they go on the same time as they're in Japan as over here, which is pretty cool. So
the name sounds like racist.
It it does, right? Because it's pretty bad.
Like it's been around forever. Like I've heard of Crunchyroll for like years.
Yeah, for the longest time it was like the only like anime streaming service, but now you got like Funimation has one, and a couple of other smaller companies, but it's the biggest one. It's pretty cool. Like I was surprised at how much like old stuff they had on there. Because you know me, I'm an old head. I want to watch the old shit. Play some of the old shit. But
old head.
Good service. I highly recommend it. Or just steal my login. It has a hilarious password. Anyway, Gogs.
I watched 4 things.
4 things.
I've rewatched all of them, so we'll keep it real brief. From Dusk Till Dawn. That movie is bonkers.
I'm a big fan of that movie.
That movie, it's full of crazy nonsense, and it's all a big slap together mess. But so I do have a question. If in From Dusk Till Dawn, if they hadn't popped off on the vampires and like started fucking shit up, would that have turned into the massacre it turned into? Was that always the plan? Or did it just happen to be that way?
I don't know. The way I always interpret it is that they were purposely bringing the humans in to eat.
But like every night, like it seems like a bad business. Like there would be no word of mouth. Right?
Yeah, but this is like a schlocky like gore fest. There's not a whole lot. You know what I mean? It's a very like
I'm investing too much in the plot here.
Kind of like it's very fast. Also, I've seen that movie. I don't know, half a dozen times. And for some reason, of all the shit that happens in that movie, the fucking only line I remember is "Ooh, American Pie, pussy." Like,
Apple pie.
Every time you said it wrong. Yeah.
I still think my favorite line in it is psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a fuck how crazy they are.
Yeah, George Clooney is really doing something in that movie.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
Tarantino is not.
Too. Yeah, Tarantino kind of sucks in the movie.
Tarantino's not great in it, but I can't think of much he is great in, except for maybe his part in Pulp Fiction.
Acting is not his strong suit.
Oh, I don't know. What is it? Is it Destiny Turns on the Radio? What's the one where he's going on about Iceman and Top Gun and shit? It's not one of his movies.
No, it's not. But
also, he's great in Sukiyaki Western Django.
Yes, absolutely. Real quick, because I'm gonna forget this. Takashi Miike has a new show on Hulu.
Ooh.
And it's weird because if I didn't read an article saying he was a part of it, I would have never known. Because it's Korean. So I'm like, well, I was seeing Korean show. I wouldn't have thought Takashi Miike direct.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's very good. It's super gross. I forget what it's called. Let me look that up. But anyway, apparently it's getting very good reviews, and I'm gonna watch it here eventually. But anyway, continue. Sorry, you brought up Sukiyaki Western Django. I was like,
I did not.
Yeah. Sean did.
So
any opportunity.
So I watched another Fred Williamson Splatterfest. I rewatched VFW.
Hell,
that movie
yeah.
Fucking rules. But like, so when I was watching, I was like trying to figure out, what do you classify that movie as? It's like splatter punk. What is it like? Because it's like all the violence happens by the good guys.
I would
call majority.
I don't know what the genre would be, but the first movie I can think of in it is the hobo with a shotgun genre.
Yeah.
Old man splatter revenge.
Yeah, like
it's
that
not
movie.
As stupid as Hobo with the Shotgun.
No,
it feels like
it's
a
not
real
stupid,
movie.
but it's got some corniness to it. Like
the Takashi Miike series is called Connect, by the way, on Hulu.
Like the Xbox thing.
Yes, Xbox exclusive.
But yeah, VFW fucking rules.
Yeah, that movie
was that the first
fun
Shudder original?
If it wasn't the first, I know, because I think Psycho Gorman was before that.
Okay,
and that was a Shudder original too. Because I remember when those came out, we were like, "Damn, Shudder's fucking killing it." Because I remember, like, we all saw Psycho Gorman, we're like, "Holy shit!"
And they're like, "Oh, you think that shit's cool?"
I mean, yeah, I make another Psycho Gorman.
I think I saw VFW first, though.
Is that right?
I think I saw VFW first as well.
Yeah.
VFW is like.
I think Psycho Gourmet came out like a year before VFW.
Oh, really?
I think VFW came out last year. I thought Psycho Gourmet came out like 2 years ago. I could be wrong because I still haven't seen VFW. I watched Psycho Gourmet well after it came out.
I was thinking about Psycho Gourmet.
I think we watched it. We watched TJ's birthday.
Yeah, we watched
in my backyard when everybody still cared about COVID.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Psycho Gorman the other day. I was looking at some baseball cards, and I was thinking about the part where he's like, and this old man asked me to come to his band to see baseball cards, and it was the best decision I ever made. Those baseball cards were awesome.
The dad was so fucking great in that movie.
That fucking rocks. Like, he makes that fucking meal. Somehow he annihilates the entire microwave somehow. It's like, I've been cooking all day. Like, what the fuck?
I'm making a nutritious meal for my family.
Oh, he's like microwaving chicken for an hour.
I said you take a left and second. I wish.
Yeah, fucking VFW is like, it's, fucking Assault on Precinct 13 meets Green Room, kind of meets From Dusk Till Dawn.
I love the fucking like villains in that movie are just like hopped up on crazy drugs.
They're like on zombie drugs. Like they're
like the mutants from the Dark Knight Returns. Yeah.
It's like drugs that it's kind of like
it's like Nuke from RoboCop 2.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a cool ass movie. And what's his name? Stephen Lang fucking kicks a pile ass in that movie.
Yeah.
I also love that movie because I didn't catch this first time I watched. That movie starts at noon of that day, and it starts with them having whatever that crazy Satanist rave is, where the girl yeets herself from the top balcony. Like that's happening at lunchtime on like a Friday. Like
you got that Blu-ray, right, Cox?
I did.
Is it like, I remember at least watching it on Shudder, maybe just my TV, that it was like incredibly dark, like to the point where it was tough to see.
The whole movie, the whole movie is just, it's either in blue tones or red tones or darkness. Like that's it. It's wild. If you watch it with 3D glasses, your head would explode.
And what's his name? The guy from
Martin Campman or whatever.
He's really good. And the guy that who played Death in Bill and Ted's
William Sadler.
He's great in the movie.
Everyone, George Wendt is in it.
Yeah.
Like you got fucking T-Bird's in it, George Wendt's in it. Was it Martin Cove from
Martin
Cobra
Cove,
Kai?
Yeah.
Like Fred Williamson. Now everyone's fucking fun in it. Movie kicks a pile of ass.
We love the old man kicking ass. Movie.
Love an old man kicking ass.
Yeah.
I also watched. Speaking of old men kicking ass, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. The Dream Warriors.
We're the Dream Warriors.
That movie's pretty good.
Does it still like he's in it, but or is that the fourth one that Lawrence Fishburne's the orderly in?
No, Lawrence Fishburne's the orderly in this one.
Okay.
Yeah. This movie,
too famous.
Like this movie is like, well, what do you do at this point? Just King of New York at this point? Like he hadn't done a lot.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I just I think of him as already have been famous by then, but I guess not.
I think he was still Larry Fishburne in this one.
I fucking also it's well documented on the show how much I love the fucking Nightmare on Elm Street series, but the poster for Dream Warriors is so good.
I think I'm gonna have to recant. I think I was a Dream Master.
You're
that's my favorite. I think 3's my favorite. It's fucking corny and weird, but you get the most Freddy lore.
And what's her name? Is so hot. The punk rock chick.
No, the punk rock chick. Yeah. She's gorgeous.
What's her name?
Patricia Arquette.
Arquette is top tier, but that punk rock chick. Oh my lord!
Yeah.
Which one is the? Is it this one that has the steampunk comic book gun guy? Is that this one or is that 4?
No, that's 4.
Oh, okay.
The deaf kid that gets exploded. This has the wizard. It's got the high-pitched, strong black guy, high-pitched voice, strong black guy. It's got the punk chick. It's got the deaf kid who's getting sexed up by the nurse, and that turns out to be Freddy and the ultimate swerve.
The kid from Iron Eagle or whatever, or the kid that looks like the kid from Iron Eagle.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But this movie's this one where you find out that Freddy's mom was a nun, and he's the spawn of 1,000 maniacs,
just like Matt Murdock.
Yeah, it's good times. So shout out, and also get Dokken. Shout out Nightmare 3.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I watched, this is my hot take, controversial notes.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
That Dokken video is so fucking great because it's one of those old. They don't make these anymore, but it's for the movie. The video intercuts scenes from the movie, but they also splice in. They got Robert Englund to dress up like Freddy, and he cuts up new scenes in the video. But the last scene in the video is Freddy waking up after dreaming about the video. He's like, "Oh God, what a nightmare!" We need more of that in movies, man. We need more. Go back to being just dumb as shit.
This one really also.
The Terminator 2 video, the Guns N' Roses video.
Yes,
where the Terminator's hunting Guns N' Roses.
With your bitch slap rapping and your cocaine tongue.
Oh God, I remember. You could be.
That song fucking slaps.
It's one of the better Guns N' Roses songs. Yeah, it's really good.
It's right up there with Mr. Brownstone. Quick spicy take before Gog's spicy take while we're talking about Nightmare. I'm still going to die on that limb that The Dream Child is a good movie, a good Nightmare on Elm Street
Number
movie.
5?
Yeah.
It's okay. I like it. I'll
revisit it. I'm they're all on HBO right now, so I'm digging through
for New Nightmare.
Yeah.
I hate.
I thought we were middle of the road on New Nightmare.
We don't hate it at all.
Did we hate it?
It was pretty bad.
Hated it.
Which is funny because I think that was the first time on the show. Here's the first time on the show where
I heard whoever snapped that one.
That was me.
We generally have positive feelings of New Nightmare, and then we watch it and we're like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't
also,
see
you get a lot of the scary Terry, every Freddy ends every sentence with bitch in this movie.
Yeah,
everyone.
Fucking New Nightmare is if Grant Morrison was an idiot. That's the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Take that, Grant Morrison. And then the last thing. So here's my hot take. I know this place is a staunch Muppets Christmas Carol camp, but I just rewatched the George C. Scott version, and that is
my
the
Christmas
best one. George C. Scott is like literally devouring the scenery in that movie.
You love that movie. I feel like every year you mention like how much you love this.
Love it. I can't stop.
I think he just does it to troll me at this point.
It's not. This is not. This is just me. This is my genuine childlike
I'm Team Muppets.
fascination. Everyone is Team Muppets, and that's fine. Team Muppets Christmas Carol is a lot of fun. I enjoy it, but man, George C. Scott's like just fucking Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't even know if he's doing an accent. I don't even care. And the fucking the ghost of Christmas Present. I'm just gonna go off for half a second here. In this movie, is the King. It drags Scrooge so hard. Like he's just like snarky as fuck and just needles the hell out of him.
I don't know. Spicy take the best ghost in any of the Christmas Carol movies is the ghost of Christmas Future in Scrooged with the fucking
Ghost of Christmas
saga head. Or is that present?
Well, which one? The Carol Kane is present. I love her in Scrooge.
No, I'm talking about this TV head.
Oh, that thing's dope looking.
Yeah.
No, I'm not mad at that. Scrooge rules. And that's everything I watch.
Scrooge rules.
I love the part where George C. Scott goes up to Jesus. He's like, "You son of a bitch! I read your book."
I like yours better than mine. Mine was a reference to football.
Oh, my Christmas! Yeah, give that man the $10,000. We need to do a George C. Scott month so we can watch fucking Hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah, that movie rules.
We watch Firestarter. We can watch fucking
Exorcist 3.
Exorcist
3?
Yeah, dude, he's the main character.
Dude, Exorcist 3, hot take, is my favorite Exorcist movie.
It's really good. It's really fucking good. All right, that's everybody, right?
Speaking of movies that Alec's going to hate, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies Alec didn't get to watch because the Plex wouldn't work for him.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
No.
I don't think Alec would have hated this. I don't know if he would have loved it, but I don't think he would have hated it.
Did you snap?
Yes.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. Here we go. Black Christmas.
Okay.
Alec, what happened in this thing?
Well, based on the picture of it, it's a blaxploitation version of A Christmas Carol.
No.
Oh, well, I got that wrong.
Okay. I don't think there's any black people in this whole movie.
No, you're thinking of the Blunt Black of Bloater Blam.
Blunt Black of Bloater Blam.
A Blissmas Blarrel.
Gogs, what happened in POC Christmas?
Let's see. Oh wow! So in Black Christmas, we're introduced to the sorority house of Pi Kappa Sigma, and it's the night before. It's Christmas Eve, I think, and all the girls are getting ready to go home to their families.
All the 40-year-old college students.
Yeah, Margot Kidder is just a hot drunk mess.
This shit was funny. Like immediately, like I mean, this is like a '70s movie just from how the credits open and
yeah.
But like I was like, oh yeah, people people as young people just always look like they were like 50 years old in old movies. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, like people just looked like that back then. I mean,
we
see so many times where it's like, oh, that guy's 32. Or like, what's his face? His Streets of Fire's like 20. Michael Pere's like 28. He looks like my dad.
Yeah. It's fucking wild.
Oh, yeah, and this director we should mention, Gogs, you didn't see the movie with us, but he is a returning mole champion. He directed Death Dream or The Night Johnny Came Back from Vietnam.
He also directed A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Which is wild to me.
He directed A Christmas Story?
He did.
That's
Bob Clark.
That's so weird.
And Porky's.
Yeah.
So
this guy has had quite a career.
This guy was just doing whatever would pay for his whatever habit he was on so he could be zooted and make movies about Christmas.
Hey man, whatever works.
Hey. Whatever works, baby. So anyway, we're introduced to the lovely ladies of whatever Pi Kappa Sigma, and we're also introduced to the first person perspective of the murder pervert in the film, who
Billy
is wandering around the outside of the building and then climbs up lattice work, which I'm just going to say, just from a security standpoint, terrible idea just to affix a ladder to the side of your building for the purposes of vines.
As soon as this movie started, I was like, Gogs is going to say something about the fucking structural design of this fucking house.
I'm just saying, you're asking someone to climb it. That's all I'm saying. Like, they brought this upon themselves. So the murder pervert climbs into the attic. I guess finds another line to the building and starts making pervy, breathy phone calls where he's talking about Agnes and Billy and C words.
There's a phone up there. I think they show the phone.
Well, there's so like, because this is a 70s movie, it has this character that we don't have anymore, which is the incredibly sassy broad. Like, and it's like, oh, you think it's more than one person? Like, no, it's the Mormon Tabernacle Choir making their annual fucking crank phone call or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, she's the quintessential 60s office secretary. Just
exactly, yeah.
So pervert's making phone calls. The girls are trying to go about their business. Margot Kidder offends the most chastened of the young ladies. She's like, well, I've had enough and I'm going to go pack.
Also, the 70s were fucking wild because you could write whatever filthy ass dialogue you wanted to in a movie and they just let you do it.
Oh yeah. They just kind of like went, my man was saying words.
Even I was like, "Eee."
Yeah, I was kind of like,
Yeah,
because
I'm just gonna go out on Front Street here. Like, I like this movie a lot, and a lot of it because it's like truly disturbing, and I think it's like a lot of the buttons they're willing to push in this movie that they just like don't do in horror movies anymore. Like the shit that he says is fucking disgusting, and then like.
It reminds me of that scene in the movie Horror where he pulls up on the hooker and it's like, hey, how much? And it's like, go fuck yourself in the ass. And like, wish I could.
I know,
if I could, yeah. It reminded me of like,
what if I could, bitch?
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, it made me think of like when in Exorcist when she's possessed and she's like going off on the priests and like all the shit that she was saying.
In hell.
Yeah. Like that sort of thing.
Pig cunt?
They say that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, maybe one of the funniest insults I've heard. It's like, you really are a gold-plated whore. The one girl says to the other girl, which is fucking hysterical.
Yeah, so the ladies are having their evening, and there's the young lady who doesn't want anything to do with this. First she reprimands Margot Kidder for giving him the business, and then Margaret Kidder dresses her down, and then everybody's mad at Margaret Kidder because then she goes upstairs to pack her bag so she can meet with her father the next day and go back to, let's just say, the Midwest. And while packing up her room and walking around, she finds a cat.
Well,
she finds murder.
Margaret Kidder, before dressing her down, basically it gives her a women deserve to get raped speech, which is something.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah. Shout out Jordan Peterson. Where were you when you punched up the script?
Dress him like Two-Face.
And it was like, I had to like, I've seen this movie before, but obviously like watching it, I watch it like I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention. But like, I had to kind of rewind like her because the way they phrase it is like really weird. But she's like, country girl, you can't rape a country girl.
No, you can't rape a townie.
A townie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's more of a class commentary than a sexual
it's
assault
100%
commentary.
class
although
commentary.
It is still gross.
Still gross. Anyway, sorry, I felt like there's a lot of like,
and also untrue. I want to go on the record that Movie the Podcast says that yes. It's still rape if it's a townie. So now I'm just making sure we put a line in the sand. We're not Margot Kiddering.
That's not getting chimped.
Yeah. Also, we didn't get to debate it.
No, well, that's a good point. I guess Sean is opposed.
I mean, I just want a review.
Yeah, it's devil's advocate. So now,
right.
So she gets this lady gets cellophane bagged to death.
This fucking murder. Holy brutal. Shit! Like,
and I'm sure we'll touch on it, but the fact that this movie's not particularly gory, but it's like incredibly tense. Like, I feel like there's three genres of movies, horror movies we all like. It's the splatter comedy horror, the weird ass like cosmic / bizarro horror, and then
the dread horror.
the existential dread horror, where it's like the cat causes more tension than just about anything in a movie you've ever seen.
But the violence that is shown is like very grounded and like physical. Like this like bag murder is just so fucking like tough to watch.
Like, you can almost identify with it. Yeah.
Well, the one murder's kind of campy, but the other ones are very. Like, we'll get into it. So, chick gets murdered, but everybody just she gets scurried up to the attic and put in a rocking chair with a bag over her head.
And it seems like it's weird because it's not really addressed, but it seems like no one is aware that this attic exists. Or at least like the girl,
the house mother,
but then she gets taken out. I mean, like, I think one of the only like story flaws is that they never go up there. But then again, like this movie happens like pretty quick, like in the continuity of this movie. So like,
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, how often does anyone ever go into their attic?
Right. Well, I've never. Been
I forgot when I had an attic in my old house. I forgot about it a lot.
Yeah. But anyway.
Also, shout out to this woman for hiding her Colonel Quickie Mart Kentucky bourbon in the encyclopedia.
And the toilet.
Yeah. That shit is that woman is like just like hilariously drinking. Like that part is pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's like Homer. There's a scene in The Simpsons where Homer fucking leaves his beers in the toilet. Like, and it's just very funny to me.
So now it's the next day, and the father of this young lady is trying to find her, and she's missed their appointment to be picked up. So now he goes.
The hilarious father who's like an extra from a fucking Quiet Riot or Twisted Sister video has come to yell
he's
at them about something.
He's like the square in every. You nailed it. The square in like every '80s music video.
Yeah.
This guy is like hilarious. Like the fucking. Like it's so. He seems like it's like Lord Fizzlewink has showed up to the town. Like. This guy is so goofy, and like it's funny because like his character, I mean, he's in the whole movie, but he kind of disappears after this opening scene. And I mean, like
he's in it a lot.
He's in the movie, but he doesn't do anything.
But they play him. What's weird is they play him. His daughter was murdered,
right?
And then they play him for laughs the rest of the movie. Like he's like him and the drunk house mother have like weird like moments where she's being kind of like a dirty old lady, and she keeps catching him doing so.
That happens like right now. Like this happens like that part happens like pretty soon.
But then they join the search party and they go see John Saxon.
Yeah.
And then Margot Kidder gives the cop like the new exchange, which is fellatio, and the one cop's too dumb to figure that out.
Also, I'm way too young to understand what like phone exchanges are. Like I don't know what like I don't know what that means.
The length they go to for this extended blowjob joke, I have to commend them on.
Oh, they set it up, and you don't get the payoff for like 30 minutes.
Right.
It's pretty good. So anyway, the cops get involved. They're like, all right, well, maybe she's with her boyfriend, yada, yada. The boyfriend's off playing minor league hockey or something. Meanwhile, you've got a B plot. So you got Margot Kidder all drunk and whatever. You've got the curly-headed other girl who's still around. Her name is Phil, short for Phyllis, I presume. They're still in the house. You've got this British chick, and she needs to talk to her boyfriend from 2001, it turns out, who is sort of a piano virtuoso, but not that good. But he's good enough at getting her knocked up, and he wants her to have the baby, but she wants to have an abortion, but he wants to have a say in it. And then it's
important to point out that the piano player boyfriend, on top of being like trying to force her to have a kid she doesn't want, is like painted as like a disturbed genius. Like he gets in his head, and that's why he can't play piano well. And then he like tries to smash the piano. Like so they try to put doubt in your head that he could be the killer.
He also uses a very particular phrase that also gets used by the killer on the phone later.
Yeah.
Which one? I forget.
You want to scrape it off like a wart or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because that's because he overheard her in the attic, right?
It's also disgusting.
Also, he's like, oh yeah, you don't want to have this abortion. I'll go to a place where the Constitution don't mean shit. Cut to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, in 2020.
That was a Futurama reference for Alec, just to keep him invested. But
nice. So now, they're searching for the girl. There's this tension between the piano player and his lover and her wife and the maid and everywhere else. But then you've got the murderer is still about, and he murders now the house mother using like a block and tackle situation that is like hanging from the rafters of the attic.
Yeah.
And like hoists her ass up into the attic.
Can I get a ruling on this? Is this it hooks her maybe in the neck or chin, and then she is dragged up? Like, is that what's
my
going
take
on here?
on it? Yes.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. Brutal way to go. Chainsaw Massacre-esque. So she gets hoisted up there. Now she gone, but she already. Now the nice thing is that everyone who dies is telling someone that they're going somewhere else. So everybody's like, we're not going to bother looking for them.
Yeah.
So all this keeps going on. The one British chick still trying to figure out what's going on. They set up a search party. There's a C plot now. We're up to C plot where there's some missing little 13-year-old girl who is then found murdered in the woods, which is like horrifying on its own, full stop. And it's sort of just like that, just throw it on the pile, presumably by the same attic sex pervert that's in the attic. So now people are still looking for people. Everyone's missing. No one knows what's going on. The police have agreed to tap the phone. So whenever the phone rings, it will also ring the police station, but they have to keep the pervert on the phone for long enough to get a tap on the phone. So several more pervert calls. A lot of them are very disgusting.
The pervert's name is Billy, which is, I forget at one point.
Is the pervert's name Billy, or is he just like, because he's always talking about Billy and Agnes?
His name is Billy. I think Agnes might be his mother or his wife.
Agnes is the victims. Like, he calls the victims Agnes. It's
just weird. All of them Agnes.
Can we briefly talk about how awesome the fucking phone tapping scene when he's in the the operator room or whatever the fuck that is?
Oh, that place is like
it's like pistons.
Yeah.
It's like monstrous, and like dude's like just tracking down. It's all like electromechanical. Like I'm like, is that? I presume that's what it used to look like, but it's fucking wild.
Golf pajama drip is tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that guy's wearing, but I'm for it.
Also, just real quick, so the director, he had like an entire backstory for Billy and like had this whole thing written out, but just couldn't figure out where to put it in the movie, and then decided it would be better if you just left it like mysterious, which
that's better.
By the way,
is the
correct thing to do. But like he had this whole story about how the killer, and even the reason why it's on Christmas, like the killer killed his parents on Christmas Eve, and they were the previous owners of the house. That's why he knows the house. And it's like, none of that. You don't need to know any of that.
No. That's sort of Halloween, and I don't want it. I don't care. I need it.
This predates Halloween.
Like, that works great for this movie, but I feel like that trope sucks now. Like he's just some rando. Like, what is the? It's not Hush. What is that? The death movie where it's just some rando in the house? It's like,
but I like that movie. I thought.
It's not bad, but
there's worse examples of that. But I've gone on and said it 100 times. Like I feel like it's lazy, but like you got to remember, like when you watch this, like a lot of
this movie came out in what 74.
74, and a lot of the shit that happens in this movie, and you're like, oh, they do this in a ton of movies. Well, this is like the first movie to do it. I mean, this is the movie that the call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah,
right. That's where this
movie.
That's the genesis of that.
Yeah, that's from this. And like, how many times has other movies used that? And a lot of the other stuff, like even, I mean, like I said, this predates Halloween. Like the first person stuff. I mean, that's obviously an influence in Halloween, and there's a lot of other little things. Like I don't know. It's kind of like this movie is a little wonky at places, but like it definitely has its influence and like its fingers in a lot of other horror.
I know you've seen this before, and I've seen it years ago, but it was so long ago. It seems like very fresh, even though like you recognize every bit of it from other movies you've seen. Like it's really unique, and I don't know if it's because it has that weird like abortion subplot, like that relationship drama in the middle of it, but like it definitely doesn't feel like other movies.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, guys, continue.
It's all right. So Margot Kidder everyone's like making her feel bad, so she just gets like annihilated and goes on a bunch of fun drunk rants, and then they put her to bed. And then she gets Murdered to death by like a crystal unicorn decanter needle. I don't really know what the implement was here, but
This
it's
scene fucking rules.
violent.
And like,
is there a problem with the transfer in this scene, or like?
Yeah, it looked weird.
It seemed like real jittery.
Yeah, well, I think it's also shot that way, but like the weird like shot where you kind of see Billy's face is really rad, and like I don't know, there's a lot of artsy stuff. It's also this is cross cut with like a choir singing a Christmas song.
They're being serenaded by Christmas carolers. Oh, and at some point earlier in the day, they had a bunch of underprivileged children over, and Margot Kidder kept feeding one of them like champagne. So
also, is that the same scene where their friend that's like playing Santa?
Santa's just swearing up
like,
a storm,
crazy. Though there's like,
oh, you bitch!
Yeah, like, there's a kid on his lap. Like you really, I was like, I'm trying to get laid, you bitch. It's like okay. I mean, they're poor, but they're not. You know,
it's not.
Margot Kidder is drunker than like anybody has ever been in the history of movies. In this movie, she's like Arthur level smashed.
Yeah, she is. She is very inebriated. So, anywho, well, not no more. Now she is very perforated, and she gone. So now
she gone.
So then their curly haired friend goes to check on her, and then presumably the door slams behind her, and then she gets gone, and then the British girl later finds out that is true, and well, so now they get another phone call, and the girl keeps them on for long enough, and they're like, oh, the calls are coming from inside the house. Tell the idiot cop who didn't know what fellatio was to tell them to get out of the house. You also see that at some point, Billy snuck out of the house. They had posted a police officer outside of the house, and dude slit his throat. So now cop's dead. Bunch of sorority girls are dead.
Yeah, Billy is just murking people.
Yeah, Billy's KD is insane.
Yeah,
he's almost at like he's almost got the chopper. So now he gets so they call and they're like, hey, listen, just put down the phone and walk out of the house. Just put it down and walk out of the fucking house. And the woman's like, I gotta go get my friends. Like, no, get out. And then the guy, he loses. Like, the calls are coming from inside the house. He's in the house. Get out. And then you get this cat and mouse kind of fight running around through the house.
Oh my god. And like,
it's so tense.
You don't ever really see Billy. You only hear these like fucking shrieks and him just storming through the house. And they do like this really cool shot that I really like where, you know, there's a scene where she's like standing behind the door and, you know, we've seen that and he's trying to barge in, but instead of showing like panning out and showing her behind the door, they literally just show the door. Like, and, like
just
close up
shuddering.
The door, and
right.
It's like, oh, it's such a cool idea. Like, I don't know that like, there's so much, like Sean said earlier, but there's so much fucking tension in these scenes. Like, you don't, because they've killed so many people already. You don't know what the hell's going to happen next. And it's great. It's really good.
So so he's chasing her through the house. We're good there. And then she gets kind of caught up and cornered by her boyfriend, Justice Samuel Alito, who doesn't want to have the abortion.
Also, I think we might have missed it, but at this point already, the cops and her they assume that her boyfriend is the killer.
Yes.
Right. So
John Saxon's on his way, and then she kind of gets cornered by her boyfriend, and then there's a kerfuffle, and then when the cops show up, you find her and her boyfriend tucked away in a corner, and he's all killed to death. Now, here's my question, and forgive me. Mm-hmm. Killed to death by her?
Correct.
It assume, yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, so...
Well, you don't know. There's a lot of ambiguousness in the end of this movie because she's like in a catatonic
she's in a state of shock.
So you don't know what Billy's
holding a fire poker. So like the assumption I think you're meant is that she is in shock because she killed him,
right? Because she thinks he's the killer, right? So now everybody winds down and the killer's been dealt with. And actually, to be fair, you, the audience, don't know either.
No, you don't know.
But there's also a scene where she's on the phone with the guy and he like sneaks up on her.
Yeah. Well, she even says as much during it. She's like, he was there the first time the phone call happened. Right. So, but I guess there's a difference between being the phone pervert and being the killer, but it doesn't matter. So now she gets put to bed. Everybody's trying to figure out who's who and what's what. And then, forgive me, I kind of blanked on this. I forget why everyone suddenly abandons the house and leaves her catatonic in bed. but then it kind of reveals that Billy's
I think
still
part
there.
of it is because they have to go out and deal with the media, and I think the other part of it is like, oh, let's just let her sleep. It's the 70s. We don't know anything about anything. Let's just leave her here.
We have enough closure for now.
I mean, that's what it is. They leave John Saxon leaves the room because it's like, oh, the media's outside. They need a statement. And they're also, the doctor says like, oh, you're not going to get anything out of her until probably tomorrow. So like that's why. And they also, in their minds, the killer's dead because
right.
So,
but then then we're all treated to the fact that the killer's not dead.
Yeah, they do this very weird slow pan. This is also like, this whole scene like is very, very slow and deliberate, like them like leaving her in the room, them leaving her in the room alone. There, like, it takes a long time for that camera to start panning, and like nothing really happens. But like as soon as the camera starts moving, you're like, right now.
I feel like they've stolen the scene a million times now, though. Like, it's not over yet. But again, this is the progenitor of that, right?
Yeah, this is so seminal to all of these horror movie tropes.
But then it pans up into the attic, and you don't see him, but you hear like the Billy talking and like saying all this weird shit, and just. You still see the first girl's body in the attic, which is fucking gross. But yeah, and then that's the fucking movie.
And that's it. And then this guy made A Christmas Story.
Also, another thing that I read from the Wikipedia today is that I guess the producers wanted Billy to kill her in the end. And he's like, no, that's stupid. Like, well, I'm not going to do that. It's way better to just leave it like implied. And I totally agree with him.
This guy made a lot of good choices.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like every note the producer gave was just dumb. So it's like he made a lot of like smart decisions. But yeah, this is a horror classic. Also, like a horror classic that doesn't get talked about enough. Like this is, to me,
wasn't one of you saying like this is like the first slasher?
I think technically yes, because it predates Halloween and it predates Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So yeah,
and Exorcist was the year before. But were there many horror movies?
Oh yeah.
Prior?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this is like, I guess if you really want to define it, like, yeah, I mean, Psycho. I mean, there was like, in campy like 50s. There was tons of 50s horror movies.
Oh, there was all the monster movies, yeah,
and throughout the 60s. But like, I guess this would usher in more of like what you consider like contemporary horror, like the slasher genre. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like. Horror movies about like deranged.
This is the monstrousness of humanity, not the monstrousness of Wolfman.
There's a straight line from this, right? There's a straight line from this to something like Maniac, for example.
The Strangers.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. This is it's interesting, and I feel like it's also like there feels like, and this is probably going to sound silly, but there's like a lot of art in this movie. Like this movie is like. Very like it doesn't really
is like
hold your hand.
Film, you know what I mean? Like a film.
Well, this movie's actually it's a slow burn because it's not like kill. The first kill, I don't think happens. Well, the first kill happens relatively quickly, but between the first and the second kill, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Between the first and the second kill, it feels more like a fucking like procedural, like them trying to find the killer.
Dude, like, I haven't seen them, but, like, this remake's gotta be fucking terrible. Like, they had to learn, like, every wrong lesson from this movie.
There are 2 remakes of this movie. And
I'm sure one of them is, like, the Halloween thing, the Rob Zombie Halloween, where Billy's dad fingered him or something, and that's why Billy's in the fucking house.
Yeah, I haven't seen either one, but I'm sure they're bad. I've heard they're really bad. But, yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for like a lot of 70s stuff because I feel like, I don't know, there's just, they took a lot more risks and like, I don't know, something about movies nowadays, like we talk about this on the show constantly, but like so much of movies, that just doesn't sound right. It just feels like an assembly line product, you know what I mean? And like,
yeah, because this movie has a lot of like rough edges and weird dialogue.
Oh,
kind of strange pacing in parts, but like it is a vision, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's not only this movie feels like a Euro horror movie. Like this feels like a Giallo movie. Like, and then this predates that too. But like it doesn't.
Because the way it starts, especially with like the prank phone call, you feel like it's going to turn into like an "I spit on your grave" kind of movie, and it's not that at all.
Or like a fucking like slumber party massacre or something.
Like,
I mean, shout out to
Camp.
Sleepaway Camp though.
Right.
We love
Sleepaway Camp.
One of our
2.
first reviews, I think, like the first or second movie we ever did.
So
this is a lot more like Rope than it is anything else. Like it's just this weird fucking bottle tension movie.
Yeah.
So the 2019 Black Christmas, first of all, PG-13. Second of all, here's the IMDb summary. A group of female students is stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. That is until the young sorority pledges discover that the killer is part of an underground college conspiracy. So it's skulls.
That sounds awesome.
Or SJWs.
That sounds fucking horrendous. Why would
fucking the flipping
Wait, do you mean SWF?
Oh. No. That was the original college conspiracy, all the communist professors.
Oh.
Are you talking about SWV, Sisters of the Voices?
Hell yeah.
Shit. No, I'm talking about 112.
Shout out to TLC. 112 where the players dwell?
Yeah, like you just, I don't know, man. Like 70s were special. Like you just don't, and you know, I think somebody, it was TJ, saying you take a lot of risks in the 70s. Like, yeah, you take a lot of risks because nobody fucking knew what they were doing. They were still making shit. Like, I don't know, nobody's ever made one of these movies before, so let's just fucking do it. It wasn't made to fit in a genre of movie, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have things to tick off as it goes. It's like, this is just the movie, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, okay, there I am. My microphone disconnected. So, yeah, I mean, and again, like
let's stop our horror movie to have like fucking Kramer versus Kramer for 20 minutes in the middle of it. Like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's so different.
And God, if you had seen Death Dream, you'd be like, I don't understand anything about like the connection between these two movies, because that movie is about a kid that goes to Vietnam. He dies, and his mother, like, voodoo resurrects him somehow.
Oh, that sounds kind of dope.
Comes back as, like, and it's like, what's that movie with Aubrey Plaza, where she's like a life after Beth? It's like
Life
that,
After Beth, yeah.
because he's like a zombie, but they're still taking him on double dates and shit, and, like, he eats somebody at a drive-in. Like, it was shot, like, 10 minutes from where I live somehow in this fucking bullshit town nobody's ever heard of.
Well, it looks like the 2006...
And they made a Christmas Story.
It looks like the 2006 Black Christmas explores Billy's past a lot more, and they do make him very sympathetic.
I can't believe they made 2 remakes. Like, that's crazy.
Remakes.
All right, let's get into Five Knuckle Shuffles. Alec, how do you think you would have felt about this movie?
Probably like a 3.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe not.
Like, I don't particularly care for slasher movies.
You also don't really like 70s movies. I feel like.
And I don't like 70s movies, and I don't like Christmas movies that aren't uplifting and hopeful. So
this is like barely a Christmas. Like the fact that they put it during Christmas, I really don't understand. Like it really,
and also like calling it a slasher movie kind of like paints it in a picture that's not exactly what you would think.
It's more psychological.
The movie's not gory like at all.
No. Also, like the slasher, like I guess I mean it is the prototypical slasher, but like the slasher, the important part of the slasher is the slasher. You know the slasher. You don't know anything about Billy. Billy is in shadow the entire time. You never see his face. You don't have any idea what he looks like or his build or anything. That's probably one of the reasons why this movie isn't talked about as much, because you can't. There's no like marketable character
out of it.
There's no like character, right? Like you can't make toys out of Billy or whatever.
You can make like the Fisher Price Billy phone where you pick it up and it just says terrible things to you.
Big cunt. Yeah. But anyway. Sean.
Oh, me? This is a 10 for me. I think this is a fucking achievement. Like and I'm gonna say this and I'll probably have to think about it later, but you know me, like I'm always just talking. Like I think I might like this better than Halloween, the original one, but I think it's just because I've seen Halloween so many times. Like if we're talking about like holiday horror movies, I think this movie's kind of brilliant and like in a very unwieldy sort of way. it's like the highest caliber of like art student film. You know what I'm saying? Like the acting's really good, even though the dialogue's a bit weird and stilted. I mean, it's got Keir DeLay in it.
Yeah.
And that guy's like a thespian. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking Bowman.
And he like thespians it up in this movie too. It's kind of hilarious.
He is ham. Like he's like that gum with ham in it and ham salad and like everything else. Like he's really going for it. Margot Kidder is like, I think, shoot drunk the entire movie. Like,
she is she's the definition of a hot mess throughout this entire film.
A hot, shitty mess, and I love her. And like the British woman has this like almost implaceable British accent. Like it's very theatrical. Like
which we all love.
Right. It's like everybody's like in a play except for the house mother who's in an episode of like Hee Haw. Yeah. And then there's like a horror movie that just kind of happens in the margins. But it's also like the middle of Nightmare on Elm Street with John Saxon playing the exact same character he plays in Nightmare on Elm Street, which doesn't seem like it's a coincidence. And then
also
it turns
probably not, actually. Yeah. You know, probably
it turns into The Conversation for 20 minutes, and then it just kind of ends. But it ends like in the way that one Texas Chainsaw Massacre ends with the chick in the hospital.
Oh, the Next Generation, wasn't that one? Yeah.
But, better. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The movie looks great. It's like not... It's blocked really interestingly. Like there's a lot of like camera trickery that you wouldn't expect from a movie this old and what I presume is like pretty cheap.
It was actually, speaking of pretty cheap, budget $620,000 in US dollars in 1974.
That's crazy.
So, no, I think this movie's awesome. Like it's not like a perfect movie because again it is but it's like it gets a lot of credit for me for being so far in front of everything else, like out of the gate, in the same way that like Texas Chainsaw is not a perfect movie, but it is like very, very like important and fun and, tense in a different way. Like Texas Chainsaw's got that kind of hot, sweaty, like Southern Gothic tension. And this is like a cold, like,
New England murders,
kind of, right? Exactly, or Canada, maybe. I don't know. Gobbles.
It's going to be a 9 for me. I've seen this before. I've enjoyed it. Watching, so I've only seen it one other time. I enjoyed it, and then watching it again, since I kind of knew what was up, I could kind of pay a little, like kind of delve into, some of the stuff about like the way it's shot and the way people are acting, like sort of like pick at it a little bit more, and it's fucking pretty great. Like it's not perfect, like you're saying, but it is like it's got its fingerprints on so many things that have like 40 years later, or 50 years, like almost 50 years later, like it's still like you can still feel its impressions on modern horror. I mean, it's basically just the facts of life if it was a slasher movie. It's great. Like like everyone's doing work in it. No one's Margot Kidder is just an out and out mess, and it's wonderful. and genuinely, if you don't know who the killer is, like they do a really good job of selling you on it. It could be that boyfriend. Spoiler alert, it's not. But like you're sitting there watching it, like, oh, okay. And then when you show that scene where they pull back and the British chick's still alive and he's dead, you're like, oh, it's resolved itself.
Or at very least he's involved. You know what I mean?
Like could be like a Scream situation where it's Skeet Ulrich and what's his name, Wing Commander. I can never think of that guy's name. Matthew Lillard.
You could even go at the end, like you could go the high tension route and just be like, oh, she was imagining.
She was it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like but no, it's far from perfect, but it's so seminal that like you got to give it its props. And then the fact that this guy's filmography is so wild and scattershot. Like I don't even know what to do with this. It's like he's like Bo Jackson. Like he's just doing a little bit of everything and doing it pretty well until he displaced his hip. So TJ,
it's a 10 for me, dog. I really like this movie a lot. I used to have I probably still have it somewhere. I have like the fucking Anchor Bay anniversary DVD of this. Like, I I don't know.
And the cover art slaps.
I love this movie. I think Sean has said it before, but I agree. Like, sometimes you like a movie because of its kind of jankiness and its like imperfections. And this movie is like a fun example of that because it's just like, it's like Sean said. I'm going to piggyback on a lot of his points. You just kind of, it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. Like, let's just try all these things at once, and somehow it works. And also, this I don't think we've touched on this, but the runtime in this movie is very fast. Like, I think it's just over an hour and a half long.
Yeah,
it's like 92 minutes.
So it's like they do all this shit in the space of like not a lot of time, and it's like it's kind of over before it starts, and you're like, oh, okay. And I don't know, I love this movie. I think it is important. It's important to horror, and it's a really solid movie, and a lot of, like Gog said, a lot of smart choices narratively that I think a lesser filmmaker wouldn't have done. Like, they would have made it way more obvious and way more, like, I don't know, like, digestible. Like, again, this is like kind of artsy in a weird way, and I really respect that about it. Like, I feel like, and again, to speak back to Sean's point, like, maybe it's because there wasn't like the fucking like the prototype to go by. Like, oh well, our horror movie needs to have this, and this, and they're like, well, we don't know what we need, so just put all this stuff in here. And like, it's kind of great because it kind of like, if you're free to do anything you want, you just go nuts, and you don't worry about like, Freddy Krueger's in this movie, so we need to have a marketable villain, or like, we don't need all this other like interpersonal stuff because it's not really important to the storyline. Like, I don't know. Like, the movie isn't like the most well written thing, but like the effort they go to like make kind of the like, I don't know, just the normal everyday stuff of these characters work. Like, it makes the characters feel more real. Even like the slapstick like house marm who is just drinking, fucking
and talking to herself,
fucking rock and rye all over the fucking house or whatever. But like,
well, and they do a really good job like hiding the twist, which they didn't have to because nobody had ever made a movie before. You know what I'm saying?
But it's really good and like really, really creative, and I love it. I'm a huge fan. It's fantastic. That's a 10 for me, dog.
And the same man made Super Babies, Baby Geniuses too.
That's so weird.
He's George Miller.
So next week, we're gonna bump the Molies till January because I have so many fucking 2022 movies to watch, and I'm so behind. So we're gonna, I don't know when in January we're gonna bump the Molies too, but we'll bump it to next month. So next week we will watch Silent Hill. I will put on the Plex. Alex, I will get off of my VPN. That's probably what's causing you problems. Just send me a text because sometimes I forget it's on. I just have to turn it off, and then you probably won't have a problem. But yeah,
Alex, I gotta commend you for sitting through all this bullshit without having watched the movie.
He's probably asleep. I'd be asleep. Oh, he's asleep.
Did he hang up?
No, he's still here.
Oh, okay.
He's calling from the house.
Oh
no. He just murders me.
Also, a movie you couldn't do now because, like, who the fuck has a landline?
Right.
Yeah. There's like, you'd have a hard time like rewriting this in a contemporary sense. Like, you'd have to totally change the whole structure.
Or just set it in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gogs, you got anything to plug?
Caller ID.
Yeah.
Shout out Caller ID
because that would have been very helpful for these young women.
Yeah, and
when they found out the call was coming from the house.
Shout out to Black Adam, by the way, just because.
I'm going to watch that this week because I feel like.
Why bother?
I don't know. It's a 2022 movie I need to watch.
You didn't go see Avatar. I'm shocked.
Is it out?
Yeah, it's out. It came out.
Well, I guess it was 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm watching that fucking movie. I talked to Alec about it on Saturday. I'm like, you go see it, and we were both just like, yeah, there's no way. I don't know if I'm going to see it once it's available to just watch at home. Like, I have no interest in it at all.
No.
I need closure on the Na'vi.
It's so
you're not going to get it because there's like 4 more movies.
The reviews for this fucking movie are hilarious because it's the same thing with Black Adam. Actually, the most common thing I keep hearing is, "Well, it's not that bad." It's like, what?
Well, what about wait? Do we still have Jake Sully?
I guess, dude.
Yeah, it's the same
main
thing.
character, like.
All right.
It's Sam Worthington and
apparently they have like
Zoe Saldana,
a hybrid Na'vi human kid who's like a big white guy, which is great. Like, that's
which
fun.
doesn't make any sense because he was in a Na'vi body.
Yeah, he should be
Right.
full unless his sperm is
he
connected to
shooting
his
regular
soul.
sperm somehow?
Yeah.
Like his Na'vi body, like
Maybe they explain it.
catheterized him and shoved a catheter in his dick.
Maybe they
Or they
explain it in the
milked it
movie.
from his corpse that they
No,
found back at
remember-
the face.
They fuck through their mind dreadlocks. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Right.
no, because that's also how they ride horses.
Yes,
Are they like the fucking Asari in Mass Effect 2 where like they somehow like take the I don't fucking know, man. Like I just lost the plot, but who the fuck wants to watch that movie?
No, not any of us.
I don't.
I feel
want
like we
to
had to
film.
watch it when it came out because
Oh
it's
no,
like,
no. Let me tell you. Gogs was like, "Come on, man, let's go." I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to watch this movie." He's like, "Come on, let's go." I'm like, "I'm gonna hate this movie."
I
Do you
loved
remember
it.
when it like
in the
it
theater.
was like they made phones for it or some shit? Do you remember like it being like integral to some kind of like Verizon kids like, oh, get
Oh,
your
yeah,
phone
yeah, that
and like it
tracks.
comes with Avatar or some shit. Like,
Oh God,
I think I
don't
saw
know.
it in the theater twice.
Oh
ew.
my God.
It made this one made 134 mil this weekend, opening weekend.
That seems kind of low for what they were expecting.
Dude, $130
it
million?
is.
That's
Yeah,
a lot
but
of money.
Yeah, Sean, but they need this movie to make like
Yeah,
$6
it says
billion.
It says it falls short of box office predictions with a $134 million debut.
Has it opened in China yet?
Is this one of the ones that won't?
Oh God, they better hope it opens in China.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I
is there
saw
some-
the part where the Na'vi fucking blow up Taiwan.
I'm gonna be dead serious. I was going through the list of like 2022 movies today just to like make sure I didn't miss anything for the Molies. And I saw it listed, the Avatar: The Way of Water, and I swear to God, I thought they finally made the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar: The Last Airbender sequel. I was like, oh, that's snuck in under the radar.
He has another.
remaking that movie.
They are remaking that movie, I think, but I don't think M. Night's anywhere near it.
He has M. Night has another movie getting ready to come out, and the trailer looks good for it again. All his trailers look good, and then his movies are terrible.
Yeah, the trailer for Old looked pretty good. And look how that
Yeah,
went.
this one's got it's got Batista in it, and I forget who else.
Oh, is that
That's part of the movie.
It's like a home invasion movie or something. I think I saw the trailer.
It's like a home invasion movie, but I forget exactly what it was supposed to be. But the trailer looked good, and then I was like, from the mind of M. Night Shyamalan, I was like, oh,
Pass.
Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
like the trailer. Watch the trailer, guys. You'll think the trailer looks outstanding. I thought it did.
If it's got Dave Bautista in it, it's already
What
kind
the
of.
fuck does knock at the cabin mean? Like, what
That's
kind
a
of sentence
terrible
fragment
title.
is that?
While
Sentence
vacationing,
fragment.
a girl and her parents are taken hostage by armed strangers who demand that the family make a choice to avert the apocalypse.
No. I'm saying like knock at the cabin does not make sense from like an
No,
English structural
from a sentence
standpoint.
structure. It's
Sentence,
Yeah.
sentence fragment is a sentence fragment.
Powering down.
One last thing. Did you guys see the fucking fake Turok movie that's coming out?
What?
No,
For Adam Driver, like crash lands on a planet and he fights dinosaurs with future weapons. It's not called Turok. But
oh fuck!
it's fucking Turok.
It doesn't have a cerebral bore.
No,
Shout out
but
cerebral
like
bore.
it's wild because I'm like, this is just Turok. Like,
Call me back when they make the Shadow Man 2 movie.
no.
Hell yeah!
Call me when they make Magus Robot Fighter. The guy that wears like a little like metal bikini and like karate chops, like fucking.
Call me when they make the Exo Man of War Iron Man Full Metal Panic or whatever the fuck that video game is called. Heavy Metal.
It's terrible. All right. Anyway, God, this has been the After Dark for our premium listeners.
Call me back when they make the Ninjak Death Mate
Hell
Red
yeah.
movie.
Hell yeah! This is You know, at one point, one of the major companies did option all the Valiant stuff, but like, I don't think anything
Yeah, it was
ever happened.
Sony. They made Bloodshot, and that movie saved me from
Oh,
getting my
you're
penis
right!
cut
Oh my
off.
god, I totally forgot that came out. Holy shit, you're totally right.
Yeah, because they were supposed to make a Harbinger, and then like Bloodshot made like $30, and they said, probably not.
And we saw it. We reviewed it on the show.
It was still better than Bicentennial Man.
Still better than Morbius, I would say.
I think I'm gonna buy
Oh,
Turok
that
2
was
on
the movie.
Steam.
Bloodshot saves your penis.
Correct.
Oh yes,
You were
it
going to
did.
cut your penis.
I bet heavy on Bloodshot. I was like fucking Adam Sandler at the end of Uncut Gems. Like,
Yeah, if I had the same,
uncut gem.
if I made the same bets on the Ravens that you make on Bloodshot, I'd be penisless now. So good for you.
Oh,
This is how you win.
All right, everybody. That's the show. You know the drill. Have a Merry Christmas. Why don't you? And, eat Santa's ass.
yeah. Happy Haunted Days for those who celebrate.
It's when you see him under the mistletoe.
We celebrate Toyotathon here.
Eat his ass.
Mm-mm.
And next week, Silent Hill. Prepare for mediocrity.
If we're lucky, Are we watching Silent Hill or Silent Hill Revelation?
We are not watching Silent Hill Revelations. I swear to God, we already reviewed that, but probably not.
No, we didn't.
Did we come close to reviewing it? I don't know.
I feel like we're always teetering on the bleeding edge of reviewing a Silent Hill movie.
All right, everybody.
All right. Later, boys.
What are you saying, Gogs?